Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee with Craig. I am back at FPC HQ here in Sacramento, California. I had a great time in Washington, D.C. Really had a chance to meet with some really good folks there on the Hill who are very interested in what we have to say here, coming from behind enemy lines, dealing with the right to keep and bear arms. It was a lot of interesting conversations. I can tell you that there's going to be some stuff that's going to be coming down the road here, but we'll be talking about that probably on a future coffee. Once again, as we have an opportunity to kind of delve a little bit more into the information that we received while we were there, as well as the information that we had a chance to share with folks. And I want every single one of you guys to know how much Phil and I both appreciate you guys helping us being able to do that. We're realizing we're probably going to have to spend more time in Washington, especially here in these next few months, as clearly the gun grabbers are in full tilt in their attempt to try and take away our rights. So once again, thank you for your support. Thank you for sending us there. And once again, we look forward to going back. So please remember to continue to support those efforts. Before we get started, please remember to like and share these videos. Let your friends become our friends. Join in the conversation. This is a fight for all of us, from now East Coast to West Coast, from from gun-free America all the way to those of us who are behind enemy lines. So we very much appreciate you guys sharing and getting us connected, subscribing to our YouTube channel, liking our Facebook page. I notice you guys have been responding. We've seen the numbers going up, and that's all because you guys are sharing us. And guess what? Didn't cost you anything but a little bit of time and a click or two. That's really about it. So thank you. Keep it up. Let's keep it up. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. Now, how shall I put this? Needless to say, one of the challenges that we're dealing with right now in this era of how shall we say, heightened awareness or heightened concerns over firearms and firearms violence. One of the challenges that we have oftentimes is members who normally we would look at and say, well, this member, because they're Republican, they should be pro-gun. And they think that, well, because I'm a Republican, because I'm a registered R, that by the very definition of it means I'm pro-gun. Or people who think, well, I own a gun, so therefore I am pro-gun. It is the oddest thing that they think that because they do that, they can then offer up legislation that really isn't pro-gun. And that leads us to our fire mission today, and what I want to talk to you guys about. Now, here in the state of California, we have this thing called the Not Unsafe Handgun Roster. You guys, those of you in California, you're familiar with it. It's this roster that basically, if a firearm is not on this roster, it cannot be sold in the state of California to everyday citizens. You have to be law enforcement. They're the only ones who are allowed to buy these firearms. Now, these are firearms that are safe and in common use everywhere else in the country, but only in California. Now, the problem with it is this, and I know you're thinking, well, but if it's unsafe, keep in mind, they say not unsafe because, well, how dare California would never consider a firearm to ever be safe. But if it's not unsafe, in order to get on this roster, you have to pay, the manufacturer has to submit a sample of the firearm, along with a $200 fee. Now, the $200 fee is every year. They have to keep going. If you don't pay the fee, your firearm comes off the roster. And you and I can't pay it, only the manufacturer can pay it. So you pay this fee, they take it, they do a couple of different tests, including a drop test. Make sure it's not safe. But here's what's happened is they've actually included a couple of feature requirements that liberals believe will make the gun safe. Or, basically that's supposed to make it safe. Well, one of those is micro-stamping. And California has required that a firearm be able to micro-stamp or put the serial number of the firearm on the shell casing in at least 2 places, right? In at least 2 places, which, by the way, can't be done. Manufacturers have already told them it can't be done, and none of them do micro-stamping anyway. So what this has resulted in is a ban on any new semi-automatic handgun, new model handgun in the state of California. So while the rest of the country, for example, is enjoying the Glock Gen 5, we are stuck here with the Glock Gen 3. That's right. It's like saying, okay, everyone else out there is now on iPhone 10 or iPhone 8, and we're all stuck here with the iPhone 4. That's what in essence is happening on the national level. Now what they're also doing is they're going through and they're systematically eliminating firearms that are already on the roster. If you change a spring, if you change anything relating to this, how this firearm has been manufactured, if you use the same spring but provided by another provider, well, now it's no longer on the roster. And so it now has to have micro-stamping. So we're seeing the number of firearms available on the roster go down and down and down. Well, so law enforcement, for the longest time, all law enforcement had been exempt from this list, right? Which is odd to me because I'm trying to think, we would never let a cop drive a car that is considered unsafe by the state. We would never let them sit in a chair that has been considered unsafe by the state of California. I mean, there's so many things that we would not allow to happen that we would allow them to do, but yet we will allow them to have a firearm that is deemed to be unsafe. But that's a whole nother story. So Kamala Harris, when she was, Kamala Harris, when she was the Attorney General, decided, well, you know what, we're going to reinterpret, because we're actually going to look at the law. And what it said was, well, no, actually it was only like certain cops, like the CHP, the municipal law enforcement, like county sheriff deputies, or city law enforcement, city police. Didn't include a bunch of other folks like the Harbor Police or ABC agents or anything like that, right? Well, in that, what they did is that, so when doing that, what happened was you had a whole group of people who were being told they had to get rid of their firearms. When she did that, there were a bunch of law enforcement officers, we'll call them Tier 2 cops. That's what I didn't call it, that's what they called them. But these law enforcement officers lost their ability to own or possess, to be able to have these firearms. They were never supposed to have them. So then 2016 comes, and along comes Assembly Bill 2165, which provides an exemption for those folks. Basically meaning, and it wasn't a full exemption, I'll explain that in a little bit, but provide an exemption. Well, now we have an Assemblyman VOPEL, out of San Diego, who's decided that he wants to expand the number of preferred law enforcement or special people who now get a special right to own firearms that we're not able to own. Right? Now, I talked a little bit about this in a video that I did back then. I did one of the first real live feeds that we did, one of the most popular live feeds that we did, talking about this roster issue. So let me go ahead and play you a quick clip from it, and then you guys will have a better idea of what it is that I'm talking about.
You've got the Tier 1 cops, right? This is as the law as it is right now. They're exempt from the roster, meaning that they're able to buy new and then private party transfer to anyone. All right. But then you've got our lesser cops. Now our lesser cops, they are still able to buy new, right? But they can't private party transfer to anyone, meaning that once you bought it, you own it. That's it. Even when you die, you cannot transfer it to anyone except other lesser cops. Meaning you have to find someone else who's a probation officer, works for ABC or a fire marshal or the state Supreme Court. I mean, now, what's interesting is when it comes to their firearms, they have even less rights than us law-abiding citizens. Because see, even though we can't buy new, we can PPT to or from anyone. Meaning, if someone owned a firearm that has fallen off the roster, they can still private party transfer it to a citizen. A tier 1 is able to private party transfer it to us as well, and us to them. So we actually, law-abiding citizens, have actually been elevated above the lesser cops when it comes to our rights. But wait, there's more. See, just because you're a lesser cop doesn't mean you give up your right as a law-abiding citizen. I mean, you can still purchase and get a firearm via a PPT from a tier 1 or a law-abiding citizen. Now here's the thing. When you do that, then on that firearm, there is no restriction. You only have the restrictions that are on the law-abiding citizen. So when you go into the FFL and you go to transfer a firearm, the FFL then has to figure out, how did you get that gun? How did you buy it? Did you buy it under your lesser cop exemption? If you bought it under your lesser cop exemption, guess what? It's yours. You can't transfer it to anyone except a lesser cop. Now, if you got it through your law-abiding citizen exemption, well then you can sell it to anyone else who is here. Are you confused yet? I'm pretty confused. So with all of this was all done, this amendment was done in order to prevent law enforcement officers from creating an underground market by selling guns that otherwise would not be available for sale in the state of California. Think of the recent LAPD gun sale scandal. It was all over the news. I'm sure all of you guys saw it. That's an example of what they're trying to stop. There's only one problem. Those were tier 1 cops. That was LAPD. They would not have been exempted. This bill would have done absolutely nothing to stop what it is that they say that they want to stop. Now, all of that being said, let's take it one step further. None of this, absolutely none of this applies to criminals who will get their guns wherever they've been getting their guns and will continue to get their guns while the rest of us are reserved to having our firearms rights limited.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. Because, as I stated a little bit earlier in that video, these are not their duty rosters. These are not the firearms that have been assigned to them. These are the firearms that, that they just went and bought. These are not the ones they're using. They're using in order to be able to do their jobs. Folks, here's the deal. And, Assemblyman VOPEL is normally a decent pro-gun vote. But this is a case where we need to help encourage him to do the right thing and to do the thing that is the pro-gun thing, and that is a recognition that law enforcement officers, in particular off-duty law enforcement, don't have special rights. Right? The right to keep and bear arms is a fundamental, is a constitutional right. All right. The right to be able to defend oneself is a fundamental right. And law-abiding citizens do not have lesser rights than do law enforcement. And I get that this thing right now is already a mess. But now we're going to add to the mess by adding harbor police. Well, what group of cops are going to come next? Are we going to have billboard inspectors? Are they going to now get special rights? How about animal control? We're now going to add animal control. Are we going to now add them to the list of people who have earned special rights? At what point are we going to say that as citizens, we have equal rights and should have equal rights? And this is also understanding that, look, when the roster was being proposed, when a lot of these things like micro-stamping were being proposed, the thing that was very frustrating is that law enforcement unions, union bosses, and the departments who hire them, mostly urban inner city, liberal police departments, actually sold us out. They went and they said, well, tell you what, if you exempt us or exempt us when we retire, well then, hey, we will remove our opposition to this legislation. And they did it time and time again. So it's important that we send a message that, look, you know what? I'm sorry, Mr. Mr. Law Enforcement Union boss. Your members, while we very much appreciate everything that they do They don't get special rights when it comes to fundamental rights. They don't deserve special privileges when it comes to fundamental rights. And I'm quite sure that their I'm quite sure that their rank and file would say, you know what, everyday citizens need to have access to these too. Look, if these are firearms that are safe and in common use all over the country, then either everybody should be able to use them and have access to them, or nobody should be able to have access to them. And so it's important that we send a message to Assemblyman VOPEL that this is about the Second Amendment. He needs to stand up for the Second Amendment. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to give him a call. I want you to make 2 phone calls. One is to his Capitol office, telephone number 916-319-2071. It's right there on the screen. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to call his district office, because they're back home now, so he's back in his district office. Give him a call today, 619-258-7737. Let him know. No special rights for special people. It's all civil rights for all people, all the time. Encourage him to pull his bill, Assembly Bill 1872. Also, please make sure to go to our Take Action page, firearmspolicy.org/actions. You just click on the California tab and you'll see AB 1872 right there. Send a quick message. It's a one-click. Send a quick message to all of the members who are going to be voting on this legislation. Send a message to their offices letting them know that you want them to oppose this legislation. Folks, it's time to send a message. It's that season now. And if they're going to listen to us, it's going to be because you are with us. All right? So we need you to be with us. You know, follow the link in the description of this video. That'll tell that if you just follow that link, it'll take you to our Take Action page. If you follow the number once again that I said before, it's either right there, or you'll see it in the description to this video. Please take just a few minutes. Make those calls. Let's take action, and let's help educate a guy who normally is on our side. Let's help give him a nice, aggressive yet polite nudge in the correct direction. All right, let's make it happen, folks. It's that time of year. Let's do it. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, please remember to like and share these videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like our Facebook page. Tell everybody you know about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them, or you're going to lose them. Talk to you later.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.